don't know if it will come with the retail unit. I'm assuming it probably won't. So taking the sleeve off, we've got the box showing the console and the DualSense controller on the front. Now I've got the disc edition. Now that means it's obviously got the disc tray on the side as the image shows here. And then there's the Sony logo at the top. And on the opposite side, we've got the 8K, the 4K 120 and the HDR logos. Now on the top, we've got a handle, which is part of the box itself. So that'll be useful if you're collecting it from a store. Looking around the side, we've got the PS5 stood up here, and that's with the DualSense controller again. And then on the back, we've got the console laying flat this time. And this has got another slogan here that says, "Round like never before." And then there's a few highlights for the console, including the custom CPU, the SSD as well, which is 825 gig. And that's kind of it for the box, really. So it kind of says what it is. Right, well, let's get this opened up. This is something I've been dying to do. So let's open it up and see what we get included in the box. So there's a box inside the sleeve, so we need to slide this off. And then you've got the PlayStation logo. So there's a little black PlayStation logo on the white box. No other branding at all on this cardboard box. Then inside this box, we've got some paperwork, which I should probably read. Then straight onto the DualSense controller. So as we know, it's a whole new design this time in both look and feel. Wow, so first impressions on this controller, this feels really good. It's heavier than I was expecting, but it feels and fingerprints really, really easily. The white plates though, they are matte finish. Now this will hopefully hide those fingerprints. Now I love the look of this, it's really clean. The PlayStation logo on the front is actually, that's cut out. So it's actually a hole rather than being a sticker or painted into the plate. Okay, so then on the inside of the plates, you can see here that there's a Sony logo, which is obviously really neat. And then if you look really, really closely, you can see that it's textured. So the inside of these plates are textured and they look quite rough. But if you look even closer, they're actually made up of really, really small PlayStation icons. So the detail, this is just underrated, it really is. Something that most people probably will never ever notice. On the front, there are two buttons. You've got the power button, which obviously both versions of the PlayStation 5 will have, and then there's the disc ejector button, if you obviously go for the disc version. Then next to that, we've got the disc slot, which is a Ultra HD Blu-ray drive. So it only plays PS5 discs, obviously, but it also plays 4K Blu-ray discs and PS4 discs as well. And then you've got a USB Type A and a Type C port as well. Around the back, we've got the vents, which are also across the top. So this will definitely make a huge difference in keeping the console cooler this gen. So first impressions on the overall look of the console, it looks awesome. Honestly, I really, really like it. Now, I know there were memes floating about that it looks like a router, but I'll tell you what, it looks a lot better. Better in person than any photo or video that I've seen, which obviously doesn't help you because you're literally watching this video now. So whether you're standing it up or you're laying it flat, you will need to use the stand that's included with the console. So this is it. So it literally spins around and it reveals a screw underneath, and you'll need to use this screw if you're standing it up vertically. So it just pulls out and then you remove the cap from the underside of the PlayStation, you line the stand up, you screw it in, and that's it. And it's pretty sturdy as well. Or if you're laying it flat, there are no screws required at all. So the screw can go back into the stand and you can put the cap back on the bottom of the PlayStation. So you just need to line the stand up with the icons on the back of the console. So they just line up with the two squares on either side. And you can see here how it kind of lifts the console very slightly off the table. I guess it will give it better ventilation and it will definitely keep it straight as well. Looking at the available ports, so we've already got the USB Type A and the Type C on the front, but around the back we've got the power cable port, we've got the HDMI port, we've got the Ethernet port, and then we've got two USB Type A ports. So that's it, but plenty here for plugging in your charging dock and your camera. So for reference, I thought I would compare the PlayStation 5 alongside my PS4 Pro, and you can really see the difference here in size when they're side by side. So stood up, it's a lot taller than the PS4, maybe 50% higher. It's also a lot thicker as well. So when you kind of look from the top, you can see here that the PS4 looks pretty small and pretty slim in comparison. Laying it down, again, it's a lot bigger. The only dimension really where the PS5 is smaller is the depth of the console. So yeah, it's pretty big, especially when comparing it side by side with the last gen PlayStation. Now let's take a look at the DualSense controller. Now this is something else, it really is. Seriously, this controller is awesome. Now I'm not just talking about the looks, obviously it does look different, but I'm talking about the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. Now it feels perfectly weighted, so I know I mentioned that earlier, but it's got a nice grip to it. So the texture on the back, it's rougher than being smooth like the previous gen. And if you look really, really closely, the texture as well is made up of the same tiny PlayStation icons that we see on the inside of the console. Such a clever but subtle design. So the two-tone design has been carried over from the console onto the controller as well. So we've still got the same white and black theme going on. Now I really like it. And it will be great to see what custom and limited controllers that we see in the future with the different designs available. So looking around the controller, we've got the D-pad. These are just hard plastic and transparent, so you can see the arrows underneath. Then we've got the icons on the other side, so the triangle, the circle, the X and the square. And again, the same design, so they're transparent, but you can see through them. So you can see the icons. Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoint and welcome to my first video of the year, and we're kicking off with a long-term review of the PlayStation 5. So the PS5 launched at the end of 2020, but I wanted to give you my updated thoughts, what I like, dislike, along with a few areas where the PS5 could be improved. Now during the last year we have seen a few updates in both hardware and software, including the unlocking of the SSD bay, new controllers and accessories, and some much needed UI improvements. So if you've not got a PlayStation 5, hopefully this will give you you a better idea of what it's like after a full year. And if you've got one already, let me know what your favourite features are or if I've missed any in today's video. Okay, let's talk about the games. After all, that's the whole reason we're buying a PlayStation 5 in the first place. And the PS5 exclusives we've had so far have been incredible. Games including Returnal, Ratchet & Clank, Demon's Souls,